Okay, sixth graders. If you recall, I'm not going to be here today, so I'm doing the video this morning, long before anybody gets here, because it's just a little bit after 5. I just had my first sip of coffee. Okay, so just so you guys weren't bored while I was gone, I'm going to do a lesson ahead of time here. So lesson 7-6, and we're going to grade the previous lesson when I come back tomorrow. But I won't be here today because I'm getting a root canal, and I don't think I'll feel like teaching very much. But 7-6, this is page 437, and we're talking about surface area and surface area of prisms. You guys know how to find the area. If I ask you to find the area of this, the top of this box, for example, it looks like it's a square box. Each one is 9 inches. It's going to be 9 times 9. So this would be 81 inches squared. That would be the area of the top of this box. But when we talk about surface area, we're talking about the area of, well, all around the box. And then they break it down to what they call nets. And you learned about that, I think, in the last... didn't we talk about nets in the last section? Yeah, we did. Surface area. Let's take a look. So the first example here says find the surface area of this rectangular prism. And you would need to find the area of each one of the faces. And so this is 10 and this is 8. So that's going to be 80 inches squared. This top part here. Well, if the top part's 80 inches, you know the bottom part is 80 inches. Then you would find the area of this right side here. That's going to be 6 by what? 6 by 10. That's going to be 60 inches. So if this is 60 inches, then you know the other side here, they can't really see, is also 60 inches. And finally, we have this front face here. That's 6 inches. Excuse me. It's going to be 6 by, if this length right here is 8 inches, then you know this is 8 inches, and 6 by 8, 48. And then the back side is also 48. You would add them all up, and then you would have the surface area of the prism. Another way they do it is they use a formula to find the total surface area of the shoebox here. And here it's broken down, the net's broken down into what I just talked about. And here's the formula. The surface area equals 2 times length and width plus 2 times the width and the height plus 2 times the length and the height, which is pretty much just what I talked about. And it's 2 times because there's 2 to each side. So let's see here. I circled to try it. I want you guys to do that. It says use the net and the formula to find the surface area of this particular prism. So here, this back side, this is 4 centimeters. Looks like the height is 3 centimeters, and the width would be 2 centimeters. So they give you the surface area formula. You could do it that way, or you could break it down using the net they provided. So I do want you guys to do that. To convince me, it says y are the length, width, width and height, length and height, multiplied by 2 in the formula. Well, I think I touched on that just a moment ago. Each pair, the top and bottom, left and right. Oh, I forgot a T there. Left and right, front and back have the same surface area. So you just multiply it all by 2. I'm sniffing a lot because I think my allergies are kicking in. I know some of you also struggle with allergies. All right, let's look at example 2 here. Sam built a storage cube out of plywood. How many square meters of plywood does Sam use for the cube? It says draw a net of the cube, so they've done that here. The formula for the area of 1 square is area equals the sides squared, because we're talking about a cube. And so if the sides, let's say 2 inches, it's going to be 2 times 2, and the area of one face, or one side, would be 4. But because there are 6 equal squares in the net, or 6 faces in a cube, The formula for the surface area of a cube is surface area, that's what the SA stands for, surface area, equals 6 times the side squared. Use the formula to find the surface area. So they've done that here. Surface area equals 6, and then in parentheses, 0.5, close the parentheses, squared. Well, remember, I wrote this down earlier, order of operations. First, you deal with parentheses. Well, in the parentheses is 0.5. There isn't any operations going on in the parentheses. There isn't any adding or subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So it's just 0.5. So when you're talking about PEMDAS, so parentheses first, and then what? Exponents. And we have an exponent. So the exponent is multiplied by 0.5. So 0.5 times 0.5 is 0.25. And then 6 times that is 1.5. So Sam used 1.5 meters squared of plywood to build the cube. Example 3, it says find the surface area of a triangular prism. The area of a triangular prism, area of the bases is 1/2 times the base times the height. So that's the triangles they're talking about here. And I mean, you can look at this for yourself. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but again, they're finding the area of each side of the ends here, the triangles. And so this would be 15 right here, and then what would this be right here? What's going to be the same as this, which is 18. So it would be 15 times 18. Here we have 12 times, again, 18, because of this, and then 1/2 times the base times the height for each of the triangles. And so the surface area of the prism is 756 centimeters squared. So I circled these 2 triads down at the bottom. It says find the surface area of each prism. You guys should be able to do this one. Looks like this is a square. So it's going to be 4.2 for each side. So that one's pretty easy. I'll let you guys do that one. I circled that one. Let's look at B, though. I don't know. When I look at these, let me pull this here. Zoom in a little bit. When I look at these, my eyes kind of go back and forth between a different way to do it. But so let's find all the surface areas in this. So the first one I see is the one closest to us right here. And so this is 7 feet, and this is 5 feet. So what do we have? We have 7 times 5 equals 35. Okay? So that's one surface area, or one face. The back side of that looks like that would be 7 also, and then also 5. So it's another 7 times 5. And then the base, or the bottom of this, it's also going to be 7 by what? 6. What's 7 times 6? 42. Now we've done everything but the 2 triangular sides, the left and right side. So what's the area? How do you figure out the area of a triangle? Well, if you recall, that's 1/2 times the base times the height. All right, so let's look at this here. 1/2 times the base times the height. So it's going to be 1/2 times the base. So here's a right triangle. And you could look at it as 2 triangles on each side. So it's 1/2 times, and we're just doing just one of them, 1/2 times 3 times the height, and they give it to us there, it's 4. And so 1/2 times 3 is 1.5. 1.5 times 4 is what? 6. Because 1.5 times 2 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. So one of these triangles has a surface area of 6. But there's 4 of them. There's 2 on this side and 2 on that side. And so 6 times 4 equals, oh, I'm off a little bit here. Sorry about that. 6 times 4 is 24. And so you add all of those up. 35 and 35, that's 70, plus 42, plus 24. We have 6. And so what is that, 13? Is that right? 11, 12, 13. So it's 136 feet squared, the surface area of this particular triangular prism. Okay. All right, key concept, you can copy that down here. How can you find the surface area of a prism? To find the surface area of a prism, you can use the net or the formula. Number 2, and you guys all have to pause the video because I probably won't give you enough time to copy it all down. It says, could you use the formula for surface area of a rectangular prism to find the surface area of a cube? Explain. Well, the answer is yes. A cube is just a special type of rectangular prism. A cube is just a special type of rectangular prism. Number 3, it says, which faces of a rectangular prism always have the same area? Well, I touched on that earlier in the Convince Me on page 438. And which faces, the top and bottom, they have the same area. The right and left side have the same area, and the front and back side have the same area. And number 4, what does it mean to find a surface area? Well, you're finding the total area of all the faces of a particular object. That's the surface area. All right, so I circled 4, 5, and 6 on page 440. I want you guys to do those. Looking at number 7, you should be able to do that. I can get you started on it here. So I'm looking at this front face here. It looks like it's going to be 3 times 2.8. Equals something. And then the back side looks like it's going to be 2 by 3. And then we have a right triangle here. And what's the area? How would you find the area of a right triangle? It's 1/2 the base times the height. So that's going to be 1/2 times the base, looks like it's 2, times the height, which is also 2. And remember, there's 2 of these. There's this side and then this side here. And so you could add all those up and you'd have the area of this one. All right. Number 8, 9, and 10 I've circled. 11 and 12 I've circled. Let's see here. 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 I underlined, explained. Jacob says that the surface area of a cube of this particular cube is less than 1,000 centimeters squared. Do you agree? Well, just show me, how you would figure out the surface area of this cube. And if you do that, and if it's less than 1,000 centimeters squared, that would be sufficient. I circled 15, 16, and 17. 18 and 19. What is the surface area? So it says Callie wants to build this birdhouse. She bought a 24-inch by 48-inch sheet of plywood. Does Callie have enough wood to make the birdhouse? Well, they give you the dimensions of the birdhouse. And so it says explain. All I want you to do is tell me what the surface area of this. And then with that information, you should be able to tell if a 24 by 48-inch sheet of plywood would be enough plywood to build this particular little birdhouse. Number 19, Callie decides to paint the birdhouse. She has a pint of paint that covers 32.5 feet squared of surface. How can you tell that Callie has enough paint without calculating? Well, I helped you out here. 1 square foot is 144 inches squared. Because remember, there's 12 inches in a square, or 12 inches in a foot rather. And here's our square. And if we needed to know the area of that particular square, it's going to be 12 times 12, which is 144 inches squared. All right? So that should help you with number 19. 20 I circled, 21 I circled, scratched out 22. 23, just yes or no. It's a yes or no. That's all I want. 24 and 25, circle those. So, also, what did I do with that? Let's see here. I gave you guys, okay, I had them here somewhere. There they are. I'm going to have the substitute give you guys a handout that is due today. This is due today. This is 7-4 practice. And there's 2 sides to it. So turn this into the substitute before you leave class. This is due today. And what we just went over in your workbook is due, of course, tomorrow. 7-6 is due tomorrow. So I would work on this last. Do the handout first and give it to the substitute. And we'll do a bunch of grading when I see you guys tomorrow. And that's it. Yeah. Okay. I will talk to you guys later.